A $20 bill can buy dinner in one city, but barely a coffee in another. How can the same paper feel so different just across a border? It's not about national pride or wealth. It's about a silent contest where prices, power, and trust shift overnight. The real cost? Savings erased, fortunes made or lost, and lives transformed, sometimes without warning. So why do currencies really have different values, and what does that mean for your money right now? A $20 bill isn't a magic ticket. Its power depends on what it can actually buy. In the world of money, that is the difference between nominal and real value. The number printed on a bill is its nominal value, but the real value is what matters most. How many goods or services that money buys, whether you are at a New York cafe or a street market in Manila. Currencies do not have a fixed worth. Their value is always measured against something else. That is why exchange rates come in pairs, like British pound versus US dollar, or euro versus Japanese yen. If the pound trades at $1.25, that means 1 British pound gets you $1.25. But this number alone does not tell you how far your money stretches in everyday life. To compare real value across borders, economists use the idea of purchasing power. If a Big Mac costs $5.50 in the United States, but only $2.80 in Egypt, converting your dollars at the market rate might not buy you the same lunch abroad. This is where purchasing power parity, or PPP, comes in. PPP suggests that, over time, exchange rates should adjust so that a basket of goods costs the same in each country. In reality, taxes, trade barriers, and local costs mean this balance is rarely perfect. The Big Mac Index, created by The Economist, turns this idea into a quick check. By comparing the price of a Big Mac around the world, you get a fast sense of whether a currency is overvalued or undervalued. It is a playful example, but it highlights a serious point. The real value of money depends not just on the number printed on a bill, but on what it can actually buy at home or abroad. Inflation doesn't just raise prices, it quietly eats away at what money can actually buy. In Venezuela, that process became impossible to ignore. Between 2016 and 2019, prices in Caracas didn't just rise, they exploded. Official figures put annual inflation at over 344,000% by early 2019. Banknotes that once bought groceries turned into little more than scrap paper. Shoppers carried stacks of bills just to buy bread, while stores updated price tags several times a day. The bolivar's value collapsed so quickly that people often measured prices in US dollars instead. Savings vanished. Wages lost meaning. For most, the real value of their money dissolved in months, not years. Argentina's story is less explosive, but just as relentless. For decades, the peso has faced waves of inflation. In the early 2020s, annual inflation surged past 100%. Each time the peso dropped, the cost of imported goods like coffee beans or electronics jumped overnight. Cafe owners in Buenos Aires found themselves reprinting menus and renegotiating salaries almost every month. A single US dollar bought more and more pesos, but those pesos bought less and less at the market. For ordinary Argentines, the cycle of rising prices and falling currency turned saving into a losing game. Inflation wasn't an abstract number, it was a daily reality, shrinking the power of every peso in their pocket. These are the hidden consequences of inflation. When prices spiral, the real value of a currency can vanish, leaving families and businesses scrambling to keep up. Interest rates set by central banks have a magnetic pull on global money. When the US Federal Reserve raised its policy rate from near zero in 2015 to over 5% by 2023, while the Bank of Japan held rates at negative 0.1%, the gap between the two reached 5 full percentage points. That kind of difference does not just sit quietly on a spreadsheet. It draws trillions of dollars across borders. Investors, pension funds, and hedge funds all chase higher yields, moving money from low-rate countries like Japan into higher-rate assets in the US. This flood of capital means more people need dollars to buy American bonds, pushing up the dollar's value. Meanwhile, the yen weakens as investors borrow cheaply in Japan to fund these trades, a play known as the carry trade. Even small changes in policy rates can trigger massive flows. A central bank economist puts it simply: higher rates attract capital, and capital moves currencies. It is a direct line from policy decisions in Washington and Tokyo to the price of a sushi dinner in New York or a cup of coffee in Osaka. Interest rates are not just numbers. They are signals that send money flying around the world, reshaping currency values in real time. Every day, trillions of dollars move across borders, not just chasing interest rates, but following the flow of real goods and services. When a country exports more than it imports, buyers around the world need its currency to pay for those goods. Germany is a prime example. In the late 2010s, Germany's current account surplus hovered around €250 billion a year. That is the world buying more German cars, machinery, and chemicals than Germany buys from abroad. This steady demand for euros helps support the currency, even when other forces are at play. Now look at the United States. Over the same period, the United States ran a current account deficit approaching $800 billion a year. More money leaves the country to pay for imports than comes in from exports. Normally, that would push the dollar down, since the world is flooded with dollars chasing foreign goods. But the story does not end there. The United States dollar holds a unique position. It is the world's reserve currency. In times of crisis, investors flock to the dollar, trusting its stability even when America's trade books are deep in the red. When markets panic, demand for dollars soars, sometimes pushing its value up even as the country runs deficits. This contrast between Germany and the United States shows that currency values are not just about trade balances. They are also about trust. A country with a surplus like Germany builds support for its currency through exports, but a country with the world's confidence, like the United States, can sustain massive deficits without seeing its currency collapse. In the end, the value of money depends not only on what it buys, but on who believes in it. Central banks have powerful tools, but they can't always bend markets to their will. In 2011, the Swiss National Bank set a floor for the franc at 1.20 per euro, pouring hundreds of billions into foreign assets to keep the currency from rising. But on January 15, 2015, after years of mounting costs and relentless pressure, the Swiss National Bank abandoned the peg without warning. The franc surged nearly 30% against the euro in minutes, sending shockwaves through markets and wiping out some currency brokers. An expert in monetary policy puts it plainly: central banks can influence exchange rates, but the market is bigger than any one player. In China, the central bank has spent vast sums from its reserves to steady the renminbi, but even those resources have limits when capital wants to move. These cases show that while governments can push against the tide, they can't hold it back forever. Brexit's referendum results landed just after midnight on June 24, 2016. Within hours, the pound collapsed, falling nearly 10% against the dollar, its steepest fall in modern history. In February 2022, Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent the ruble into freefall, and the exchange rate rocketed from 75 to over 140 rubles per dollar in days, as sanctions and panic swept the markets. March 2020 brought a different kind of shock. As the world locked down for COVID-19, investors rushed for safety, pulling billions from emerging markets. Currencies from Brazil to South Africa tumbled 20, 30, even 40% in a matter of weeks. In each case, currency values did not wait for official statements or economic data. They moved at the speed of headlines. In Istanbul, a shopkeeper unlocks his door and checks the latest prices. Last year, the lira lost half of its value against the dollar. For him, that meant every shipment of smartphones and laptops cost double what they did just months before. Shelves that once held affordable gadgets now sit half-empty, as customers balk at price tags that have soared from 3,000 to 6,000 lira overnight. He faces a choice: raise prices and lose business, or cut margins and risk going under. In the Philippines, a family gathers around a kitchen table. Their daughter's remittance from Dubai arrives in dollars, and this year the exchange rate means her $1,000 stretches further, buying 16% more pesos than last year. School fees, groceries, even a small celebration feel possible again. For millions, the daily reality of currency swings is not just a headline, it is the difference between scraping by and getting ahead. For travelers, a shift in rates can make a dream trip affordable or force a change in plans. Right now, currency values shift in real time, driven by decisions, fears, and events you may never see. Every price you pay, every trip you take, is shaped by this invisible tug of war. In a world wired by money, value is never just a number. Thanks for watching.